Good morning and welcome to Wireman's Whimsy. Today we are making this really colorful, nice, bright, juicy card using the A Wild Rose stamp set and the Wild Rose dies. There's lots of steps to it, but it is really effective and you can change it up however you like. You can use whatever colors you like. I have used Granny Apple Green and Melon Mambo for this. And in this example, I used the Granny Apple Green for the greeting. When I do the demo, I'm going to do it in the Melon Mambo so you can see what the difference is. So to get started, we need a Granny Apple Green card base, a Melon Mambo mat 5 1/4 by 4, a Granny Apple Green mat 5 by 3 3/4, and a basic white in 4 3/4 by 3 1/2, and that's all our layering pieces. So I'll just put those aside for now. We do this in steps. What we need to do is stamp the background, and then we can layer some of our pieces together, and then we need to do our greeting, do our flower, and then use the dies to cut everything out. Here I used the stitched rectangle dies to cut out the greeting. So we'll get started. Like I say, it's a bit of a process, but it's very effective and works very, very well. So I am going to stamp the leaves with Granny Apple Green, and what I did is the inside of the leaves I did as a second value. So that's this one here. And when I ink it up, you'll be able to see it is solid leaves. They are a bit variegated, but I'm going to be stamping away and then stamping onto the card. So stamp away. And again, you can put as much coverage as you want or as little as you want, keeping in mind that most of the middle is going to actually be covered. So I'm just going to be coming in to make sure that I've got the areas covered that are going to need to be covered. And we'll just keep stamping away. If you forget to stamp away and end up stamping full value on the card, it's not a big deal. It's your choice whether you keep going or decide you're going to start again. So I'm just going to fill in the bits, and I am going to put another one just over here because I feel like there's not enough coverage there. So I'll set that one aside. Now we're going to go in with the leaf one with the veins in it, and we're going to go full value. And I haven't matched up, like I'm not trying to place it where the leaves are. I'm just placing it down wherever I like. It gives it kind of a more of a whimsical effect. It doesn't need to be exact. It just gives the impression of busyness and lots of lush foliage. And we'll just keep stamping that around until we've got the leaves we want. And I'm going to pop another one in here because I think it needs it. Okay, so we're done with that piece. I'm going to close up the Melon Mambo for now. And just push on the back, flip it, or the Granny Apple Green I'm going to close for now, sorry. We're going to open up the Melon Mambo, and we're going to use a scrap of the basic white, and we are going to stamp this. Now, it is a 3-step stamp. As I've done before, I'm going to use one ink color for the 3-step stamp. I have made sure that I've got my dies all the right way around, so I am stamping them the same way. So I'm going to ink this one up. This is the stage 1. This is almost solid background. I'm going to stamp it off once, stamp it off again, and then stamp it onto the paper. So it's very, very faint. The second layer, there's more detail but less area, stamp area on here. I'm going to stamp that away once, and I'm going to make sure that I've lined it up properly. And I'm just going to turn that around because it goes this way, and I just place it over top and drop it down. And you can see it gives the definition. And if it's a little bit off, it's not a problem. It's a nice full flush rose. This is the outline stamp, and I'm using it at full value. And I'm going to line this one up over top, taking a couple of points to line it up, dropping it down and lifting it away. And again, not critical if it's not 100% lined up. So that's the rose done. As I said, I'm going to do the greeting in the Melon Mambo in this one, just to make sure, or just to show you what the differences are. So I'll pull that out of the way, put this down, move that out of the way before I put my hand in it, and just stamp this down, give it a push, and there you go. I will close up the ink pad and put it to the side. Now, we need to cut things out. You'll notice that I don't actually have a scrap of the Granny Apple Green to do the mat with. Well, that's because I have a piece of Granny Apple Green here that I can cut the mat out of the middle, because it will be covered with the basic white mat. So we will get going with doing the cutting that we need to do. I'm going to place the Granny Apple Green in at an angle. I'm using my magnetic base with one of my cutting mats. I'm going to do this as square as possible because it is going to be the middle of the card. And then I'm going to put my greeting in and put my die on there, just like that, trying to get it as centered as possible. And then I sandwich it up. And I can run it through the machine. Okay, so that's the first set of cutting out that we need to do. So I will just pull these out. And with this stitched rectangle dies, you just have to be a little bit gentle when you pull them out, just so you get everything out without tearing it. See, that is the mat, and as I said, it will be covered up like that. So it can save you some paper by taking your smaller pieces out of the middle of the larger pieces. It's entirely up to you. Now we need to cut the rose and the leaves out. So I've got the rose here. We need to lay the die on, again, centering it as best we can so we don't have a lot of white space. And I will have to do this twice to get 2 leaves out. So I'm just putting a scrap of Granny Apple Green down, and I am sandwiching that up, and I will run it through, and then I'll run it through a second time to get the second leaf. All right. So like I said, there's a few steps to this card, but it is still relatively simple to do. Just some basic steps. And if you glue everything down and have forgotten to take your mat out of the middle, it's no big deal. Just get another piece. Okay, so, and as you can tell, I'm reusing paper that I had inked on before, and it didn't work, so I am just reusing it because paper has 2 sides. I'm just going to run this back through the machine, and then we can just move this to the side so we've got some space to work. And we will peel that out of the die. So now we need to construct the card. So we take our card base and we use our Stampin' Seal, and we put our Melon Mambo down on the card base. Oops, very sticky. So we will just layer this on, drop it down, and then we take our Granny Apple Green and we can just run the Stampin' Seal and put this in the middle. Now, one variation you could do is you could stop here and you could put the rose right on here and a greeting across here if you wanted to. You could do it like this, and that's effective even just like that. I do like the background that we made, so we can put that on next. And I did do it fairly directional, so I will put it on directional, and we just mat that up and center it. So I need to stick my greeting to the greeting background, and I just do that. And then I'm going to use dimensionals to add it to the card front. So I do this first, and then I add the rose so that I can see where I'm putting it. You can use as many dimensionals as you like. To me, just a couple, just pop it up. It's not, you don't need a lot in behind. And you just place it wherever you would like, centering it, popping it down. There you go. Dimensionals on the rose as well. And I will pop 3 on here. And then we stick it down, and then we're just going to use the small dimensionals to put the leaves on once we've got the rose placed, so that we can see where they're actually going to end up. And to me, the rose has an up and a down, and I'm just trying to figure out which way I like this one. I think I'm going to put it like this. Overlap the greeting just a little bit, just right there, just like that. And then I'm going to use these small dimensionals because they fit perfectly where the seam, where the stems and leaves join. And then I'm just going to tuck this underneath, just like that. And if you let it overhang a bit, it makes it very, very visible. Now, this being the Granny Apple Green leaves on a Granny Apple Green background, doesn't show up a lot, but I just wanted to give a little bit of dimension to the card. And to do that, I put in the leaves. So there you go. Easy as that. Now you can decide what colors you'd like to do this in, whether you'd like to do the greeting in the Melon Mambo or the Granny Apple Green. Absolutely your call, 100%. So if there is anything in this video that you would like to purchase, please use the links below. Other than that, we will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.